Have you ever wondered what would happen if Horrid Henry was charged for his crimes? Well, today we're gonna find out, but since Henry is only a child, we're gonna charge him as if he was an adult. Starting with the episode, Horrid Henry gets rich quick. The episode begins with Henry playing with his toys, but his toy is garbage. Henry isn't having any fun, so he decides he needs more money. He begins by going downstairs and asking his mom and dad for more pocket money, but they argue that he needs to save his allowance like his brother Peter, causing Henry to get mad at Peter. This crash that leads to him getting his pocket money taken for over a week. His dad gives him the suggestion of earning the money himself, so Henry comes up with a plan for a yard sale. He starts by looking in his room, looking at his toys, but there isn't nothing of value. He starts to look in his parents' rooms and he finds expensive stuff like his mom's perfume. He starts trying to sell it to his friends, but Peter comes and interrupts him.
Henry, that's Mum's special perfume.
Oh, she's got loads of bottles. She'll never miss one. That's £10.
I'll give you one.
Done.
That's Dad's tennis rackets.
He eventually makes a threat of selling Perfect Peter and he decides that it is the perfect plan. So he decides he's going to sell Peter as a servant for 10p a day, and Peter accepts, not knowing what is to come. He advertises Peter for 75p a day and Ralph immediately buys him. The episode cuts to Henry counting his money and Mum is starting to look for a perfume. She then asks where Peter is and Henry tells her that he stole him. Henry's mom is furious and starts yelling at him to go get Peter back, and when Henry goes to get him back from Ralph, he finds out that Ralph sold Peter to Margaret. Margaret's making Peter do absolutely everything for her and Susan. Peter asks Henry to rescue him from the fence and Henry starts to walk away until Peter makes the offer of the lifetime. Peter says that he'll give him all of his money if he can save him.
Deal.
Please, I'll do anything. You can keep the 20p. I'll pay you 50. A pound. She's horrible. Nearly as bad as you. Come back. I'll give you all my money.
Henry tries to buy Peter back from Margaret, but Margaret says that he is at least worth £10 now. But since Henry doesn't have any money, he suggests being Margaret's slave instead. The idea of bossing Henry around intrigues Margaret. Peter is excited to finally be free from Margaret, and Margaret immediately starts bossing Henry around. Henry starts coming up with the perfect plan. He unplugs her pool, messes up her chair, and removes the ice from her drinks. As Henry keeps messing with Margaret, she yells at him to just leave and stop being horrid. At the end of the day, Henry is going to the store to purchase a new castle like he wanted, but his mom and dad found out he sold their items and is making Henry buy them back. This episode shows Henry selling Peter as a slave, which counts as human trafficking, which is a serious crime that leads to a sentence of at least 14 years. But what about the multiple times Henry destroyed the school? Horrid Henry Time Capsule is an episode which starts with Henry playing with slime around Peter's food. He then explains to his mom that at school they are making a time capsule and that he wants to take the slime, but his mom refuses to let him take it and Henry gets angry. As they're leaving the house to go to school, Henry takes Peter's favorite plushie, Bunny, to put in the time capsule.
Stupid bunny.
Come on, Henry.
Come on, buddy. You're
Once
coming
they
with
get to
me.
school, Miss Battleaxe asks everyone what item they are bringing, and everyone starts giving their special items. When she gets to Henry, he pulls out Bunny and puts him into the box. They go to the garden when some random kids start singing, and they start to dig the hole. It starts storming, and everyone runs inside, but whenever Henry gets home, he asks his dad for pocket money. Peter runs in crying because he can't find Bunny. Mom and Peter start looking for Bunny, and Henry's dad tells him he needs to get Bunny back if he wants any pocket money. He sneaks into school with a few shovels and his friends, lying to them saying there is treasure underground. They all start digging huge holes and they find one of the capsules. Really though, there's nothing in it. Everyone decides to keep digging, and by the end of it, there are huge holes along with tons of time capsule boxes all over the place, but they're all empty. Once Henry gets back home, Peter is still distraught about losing his favorite plush. Henry then comes up with a plan, but once they get to school, Miss Battleaxe starts asking if anybody knows. Henry steps up and say they should bury another time capsule so that they don't get beaten by the hooligans that made the mess. Henry even receives a gold star for this thought to be good deed. Once it's nighttime, Henry sneaks into school to find a thief. And that's when he finds the principal, Miss Oddbot, and she explains that she likes to keep souvenirs of all the kids, that they promise not to tell if the other one won't. And so Miss Oddbot gave him back Bunny. Henry brings back Bunny and everybody's excited, but Miss Battleaxe shows up at the house. Miss Battleaxe found Henry's slime at the scene of the crime and put all the blame onto him. She also says that he destroyed the school garden and it's going to cost a lot to repair. This crime of property damage has a penalty of up to 10 years, meaning Henry is at 28 years in prison so far. Double trouble begins with Henry imagining how much more trouble he could cause if he had a twin. As his mom wakes him up for school the next day, he gets out of bed only to realize that another version of himself is still asleep. When Peter walks in, he can't believe his eyes and refers to the duplicate Henry as the double. Henry wakes up still drowsy, unaware of what's going on, until his clone starts chaos by breaking a dish, immediately making his mom upset. Henry's clone comes upstairs and starts listing all of the horrid things he's already done. Peter starts to complain about himself not having a clone, and as he says it, another version of himself walks through the door. Henry then takes it upon himself to teach his clone how to be horrid. However, a problem arises. Both clones want to surpass their originals. Henry's clone wants to be more horrid, and Peter strives to be more perfect. Faced with the clones already attending school in their places, Henry and Peter decide to head home and deal with their mom instead. The scene then cuts to Henry's clone and Moody Margaret having a messy slime fight on the playground, leaving destruction in their wake. The next morning, Henry and Peter wake up to find their clones missing. Initially, they think it was all a dream, until they discover that the playground has been completely wrecked, leaving the school administrators in shock.
Zut alors!
Horrible!
This is a sad day for Ashton Primary.
Horrible!
I understand they're calling it the Battle of the Beetle Bonces. Zut alors!
Horrible!
We shall never forget this day.
Since this is a way less destructive crime than the other one, he would most likely only receive up to 3 months of imprisonment, leaving him at 24 years and 3 months so far. The next episode, Horrid Henry and the Dinner Guest, starts with Henry coming home and Peter's playing the cello. Henry gets mad, but Peter ignores him. Henry says he wants to watch TV, but Peter says there's no TV tonight because Mom's new boss is coming to dinner. Henry sees that his favorite pudding is ready, but he spills it everywhere when Dad startles him. Henry finds out it is also a grown-ups only night and he has to go to sleep while Peter can stay up. And he is furious, and he begs his dad to stay up, but his dad says no, because he has messed up dinners like this countless times before. Henry repeats that it is not fair. He also tries to convince Mom to let him stay up, but he still isn't allowed. He starts arguing with Mom, saying he wants the pudding. Because of this, Henry gets sent to his room as the Mossies arrive. They let their small chihuahua run around, and Henry shows Fluffy, the cat. She instantly starts crashing out, chasing the dog, Hercules, all around the house. Henry runs into the living room while everyone's distracted and messes up Peter's music sheet. Henry also sneaks out of his room to go to the kitchen and get some of the food that they made. He starts stuffing his mouth full when he sees Mr. Mossy playing the cello. Hercules runs out the room and follows Henry back into the kitchen, and Henry starts feeding him, making him do tricks. Henry almost gets caught by his dad being out of bed and puts Hercules on the table. Henry then takes hot sauce and puts it into the crisp and feeds it to Miss Mossy. But unknown to Miss Mossy, Henry poured hot sauce into the food along with all the drinks that Peter brought him, which could have caused serious harm. Mr. Mossy takes one of the hot sauce covered crisps and eats it without any reaction. He challenges Henry to do the same. When Henry does it, Mr. Mossy challenges him to also drink hot sauce, but Henry fails. As Henry's parents walk in to scold him, he starts trying to do karate on Mr. Mossy but fails. Henry is then sent to bed, but once again he sneaks into the kitchen. This time he steals a soda and shakes it up a ton.
Fluffy!
Henry then brings a shaken up soda into the kitchen and it sprays everywhere once it opened, but Mr. Mossy makes a splash on Henry. This leads to the Mossies leaving for the night, but before Mr. Mossy can leave, Mom pleads not be fired, but Mr. Mossy actually had a great night, and as Mr. Mossy thinks that he won the night, Henry makes chocolate go all over him. Henry actually commits 2 crimes in this episode. Because he technically poisoned the food and didn't tell Miss Mossy, he will receive up to 5 years for food poisoning. And because he abused Miss Mossy's dog by making him fight Fluffy, he will receive another 5 years, giving Henry a penalty time of 34 years and 3 months.